We are back. That's right, we're back. The Intrepid Duo. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Julia.
And so, the Intrepid Duo, let's see, last time we were on the cruise ship. And so, we had to leave the ship, and I thought before I tell you where we went and everything, I'll kind of remind you, now we're talking about Europe. Europe, yay! Let's slide a little. Okay, so there's England and some cities. I like how they didn't actually label London, but it's like right there. But we're not actually going to London. Not yet. Spoilers. Where we're going is somewhere else. So this is the English Channel, that south part of the whole thing. We arrived on the cruise ship in here to Southampton. And then we immediately didn't even look at anything, went to the train station, and took the rail to, well, I'm amusing myself, anyway, to Portsmouth. And then we waited all day, basically, for the ferry. And the ferry went down to this little island called Guernsey. Well, I liked that. Anyway, the Channel Islands are not just where they're located, they are part of the larger Commonwealth, England kind of UK-ish thing, but they're not one of the four big nations that makes the UK. Those would be Northern Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales. These are a little quasi-ish. Think more like US territories where they do belong, but they're a little bit more flexible about what happens there, and they have a little less say.
They call themselves crown dependencies.
Yes. So these are the two. This is Guernsey up here, and the bigger one, Jersey, that we didn't go to. All right, so we're going to zoom in. That is the bailiwick of Guernsey, and so I included some of the other islands. Sark out here. All right, so let's zoom way in. And this is Peterport. St. Peterport. See, it even says it. St. Peterport to Portsmouth. That's the ferry we were on. And now we'll actually show you some pictures now that you know where the heck we were. All right. So it is a lot of boats around here. And remember, it's still December, but it's not Christmas yet. All right, so all the boats and beautiful ocean views. But here's something fun to think about. When the water's there, it's this. But when the tide goes out, it looks like this.
I was quite surprised when I woke up in the morning and I said, where did the water go?
Yeah, it was pretty dramatic. I thought I had, walked the wrong direction and misunderstood. No, it's the same place.
Just tide in, tide out.
All right. And, of course, ducks.
Well, ducks are important.
Not that one in the front. That's not a duck. The ones in the back, those are ducks. They don't care. So beautiful. This is kind of one of the central images of the harbor. So there's Julia hanging out. I think this is... and of course we got the donkey. Donkey is one of the symbols of the island. One of the reasons why it became was because they said, well, people from Guernsey are stubborn in a resilient kind of way, but also because all the goods that came there before trucks, they were carted around with donkeys. So the association stuck. It's even on some of their money. Oh, they print their own money. It's the same as the British pound, but it does have their own logos and stuff like that on it. They choose who's on their money. So let's look at their streets. Welcome.
It might have a little bit of a French Quarter-ish kind of a vibe, which makes sense because they are pretty close to France as well.
Exactly. They're actually closer to France than they are to England, but guess who owns... So there we are. So it is both a coffee and a tea culture here. Oh, isn't that beautiful? So this is just the center of Peterport, different places, and definitely set up for Christmas. All the trees. Ah, right. This is my. Let me look it up. Hang on. This is the church. This is like the central church, but it's where my grandfather's grandfather's grandfather got married to my grandfather's grandfather's grandmother. I can't help it. I had to say it that way. I hope that's accurate. But anyway, the inside and outside. So this church has been around a really long time, and
it was pretty cool to see all the architecture, old and new, mostly old.
Yes, especially in the center. Moving right along. Speaking of old and my ancestors, there is this special library that is open to the public if you're nerdy enough and want to hike there. And it has whole genealogies. So I think I found some extra relatives there. I mean, in the books, not hanging out and being like, oh my gosh, we're related. No, that didn't happen. So that's what the building looks like, and there were gardens right next to it. So I took a few pictures of that as well. And this is a pedestal statue for Victoria, but it was actually raining that day, so you couldn't get a good picture of Victoria. But the pedestal is when I believe it's her Jubilee. Diamond Jubilee. All right, moving right along. On the inside, this is what the library looks like. Isn't that pretty?
Christmas decorations everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. These are working fireplaces, but they always said that in quotes because nobody was alive last time they actually were lit. So, I mean, hypothetically, they're real, but no. And now to food. One of my yes, food. So I think the first one was it's called a full English, and this is a full English breakfast, and this is how they do it on Guernsey. So
the items in a full English will be eggs, sausage, bacon, which is not like American bacon. It is not that crisp, burnt in your yummy bacon. It's still good, but it's just different. You got the grilled mushroom and tomato, baked beans, hash browns, and toast with tea or coffee.
Tea.
But of course, Daniel's got the tea.
Of course I have the tea. And that was actually from Marks and Spencer's. Now to the right, we had our first real grocery shopping. And this was Waitrose, I believe.
Which has an equivalent to like Whole Foods, where it's just a little bit bougier.
Yes.
Than the other regular grocery stores, but even with that, I believe you can't quite see the price on the receipt.
I'm reading £19,
but it was under £19, which if you're gonna equate that to dollars would be about $27.
That's about right. And that's pretty good for all of that.
Yeah, we got all of that stuff. And actually, we got a couple more things that had already opened, so we didn't want to put it into the picture.
Well, it would have been lame. Yeah. So, not bad at all, but then that was the grocery store right next to the Premier Inn where we were staying.
So, we actually stayed quite a long time on Guernsey, and the first, I'd say maybe 6 days, we stayed at Premier Inn, which is a chain.
That's right. We haven't mentioned premieres yet. Yeah, my gosh, this is months ago.
Premier Inns are great. They remind me of Holiday Inns in a lot of ways.
They're about the same.
They're about the same as a Holiday Inn. They have everything. They have a little restaurant as well. So if you need a quick bite or whatever, they have coffee, teas available.
Sure.
And very comfortable stay. Very nice beds and. It's perfect for us. Nothing fancy at all, but everything you could possibly need. And then the second week we stayed at another location, and spoilers though, so that'll be next time's video.
Sure. So we had to have fish and chips though. We are fish and chips people, and this one we got from Beaton's.
Beetons.
Yes.
Beetons.
So if you go there, eat because We can't recommend this place enough. It was incredible. It was cheap.
Oh, so cheap. Delicious. Absolutely. This was the first time having kind of this Britishy fish and chips for me.
Very authentic.
Super good. And yes.
And you know whose is whose here. Julia.
Yeah.
Was that Julia on the...
Yeah, that's my sweet chili sauce.
She did try it without it first, but she just couldn't help herself.
It's so good. It's so good.
All right, we're moving on. Costa. It's the Starbucks of the rest of the world.
Yes.
And the coffee tastes like coffee.
It's amazing coffee. Obviously, this was us eating in. We've gotten several
Every
Costas.
city has had a Costa. We thought this was a unique thing that only was on Guernsey.
But
oh my gosh,
everywhere.
We were wrong. No.
Yeah.
And that's a hot chocolate for me, by the way, that they just ridiculously put art on anyway.
It's adorable.
Yeah, I'm moving on. Oh, this is story time.
Oh, story
All right,
time.
So we kept passing this place. This place was between the town and where we and Peterport, most of the stuff that we've been taking pictures of.
So it's literally...
We're constantly seeing it.
Yes, it's literally on our way from our hotel to the little downtown with all the lights and the church and the buildings.
Yeah, we constantly walking past this.
And there was a couple of times where we almost went in, but they were closed.
Just like we were coming by at weird hours, or they had we couldn't seem to figure it out. But we looked it up.
But at this point, I was wanting Asian food. It had been a little while, and I can safely say that even so far, this is probably...
Hang on, let's
Okay.
Let's wind up a little more.
Okay.
So we get there, and we notice there are cars in the parking lot, and even though technically it doesn't look like they're open hours, but like there are people there, there's people inside, and it doesn't look like just wait staff.
Right. It looked like they actually had customers, so we thought, well, maybe they're going to open soon.
Right.
Maybe they are open. They open a little early.
Let's take a gamble. So we go inside, and immediately we're told, no, not yet. Well, it was a cold, windy day, so we're like, I don't want to walk all the way back. We were hungry, right? So we walk into the vestibule, and we're trying to figure out what to do. When out pops, we'll call him Ed.
Yeah. Ed, one of the many people we've met on our journey. Ed is right up there.
Right. So Ed was a little confused why we're standing in the vestibule, and we're like, well, because they're not open yet. And he's like, what? So he goes out for a smoke and says, don't worry, I'll get you in. He comes back.
And he says, don't leave. I promise it will be worth it.
Right. So he comes back and he brings us over to one of the first tables out inside the door. It has the reserved sign on it. He's like, I'm buying them drinks.
He was in a festive mood. Very festive mood.
That was not his first drink of the evening.
Yes, and he didn't want to drink alone, and here we were, two visitors. He was very excited.
So we start to talk story, Hawaii, and where he's from, and we start just swapping stories. He's like, no, how about this? And he brings over Alex. Alex is the owner.
The owner,
right.
Yes, Alex.
And he says, Alex, whatever they want, it's on me. Very gracious.
Very nice guy. And he said, the only thing I want you to do is pay it forward, which we have a couple of times. We did pay it forward. So.
Sure, of course. But that's a story for another time.
He was not lying. It was worth it.
And Alex chose the menu.
We basically said beef, chicken, noodles. And he was like,
I got you, fam.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I got some Calabash cousins over there in Guernsey now. Tell you what. And
the best meal, by far the best meal on the entire trip. And growing up in Hawaii,
months ahead of you.
Growing up in Hawaii, I'd never had elevated Chinese food like this
before. Really elevated.
And it was so good. So good. So thank you, Ed and Alex, for a great night.
Oh, awesome. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And is that going to be a good place to end it? This is a good place to end it.
This was kind of the last big thing we did before we moved on to the next hotel.
We'll see you next time.
All right, till next time.